I made a little knobby thing. Wow. Wow. You probably can't hear the motor turning on, but I thought I'd impress you with that. Hey guys, real quick video on some of the details of our trolling motor build that we did for our kayaks. I did this on 2 kayaks and they work great. No problems, no issues. Long term, can't tell you that yet. The criteria for this is we fish mainly saltwater, some fresh, mainly on the west coast, central Florida. This is a budget build. Definitely has to be DIY, but I enjoy doing that. So the criteria is budget, DIY, and mostly use stuff that I have laying around. This could be repeated using different materials similarly, but most of all I encourage you, if you want to put a trolling motor on your kayak, do it. It's a lot of fun. This is a fun build. So 3 major components that you carry with you that are not on the boat already, and they are your tiller or your steering rod, your battery, Harbor Freight $70 battery. Look for the coupons and you can get it for a whole lot cheaper. It's a 35 amp hour 12 volt battery. You can wire them in parallel, which is 70 amp hour battery, which I'm estimating to last us all day long with extra, because we like to paddle mostly. And then of course the trolling motor. It's a Minn Kota Endura C2. It is a $99 motor. If you get it at Bass Pro Shops and you apply for the credit card, get a credit card at Bass Pro Shops, you get $25 off that day and then $75 total off. So anyhow, $25 after I wheeled and dealed with the credit card thing. All of the materials I used are aluminum and plastic. These are scraps I had laying around. I used the I had to buy some 1/4 inch all thread and some 5/16 all thread, and I used the all thread for making all my long bolts. So I did have to buy all thread and some stainless nuts. That's the only hardware that I had to buy. Everything else was laying around, like I said. But basically I drilled an 1/8 inch hole in some plastic. I shaped it a little bit, you know, make it look more professional. And this is if I said an 1/8 inch, an 1.125" hole bored in these 2 pieces of plastic. Since this is an 1.125" fiberglass shaft on the motor, and had some of these thumb screws laying around. That's the thumb screw that comes with the trolling motor, and that sets your height. I didn't cut off my shaft. I don't think I will. There's no need to. And this is a steering mechanism that I added on, and basically I just have a piece of plastic, drilled an 1.125" hole, put the thumb screw in there, you know, so that I could tighten it down, just notched it so I could tighten it down, threaded this 5/16 and used 5/16 thumb screw. And then here I have it so it can swivel 360, and that's for when I'm tilting the motor up my tiller rod can pivot up and down. It'll make more sense when I put it on the boat. And then it just connects with these two pins right here to the tiller rod. And I'll show you that in a minute. For the control wires that go, the 4 control wires that go to your trolling motor, I just use trailer plugs, threw some liquid tape on all the connections, and then slapped a used bicycle tire on there for some weatherproofing. And the same thing on the top, that's just a bicycle tire. Kind of goofy, but I like it. And same thing here, I just use the same paddle bit, bored a hole in here, and that'll make more sense when we put it on the boat. And then all thread, 1/4 inch all thread to button it all together. And the only reason I have this here is I needed something rigid for when I do my tilt, and we'll look at that in a minute. So let's put it on the boat. Alright, so on the boat, the things that I've added are, I added 2 stainless plates with 4 self-tappers that go into the hull of the boat, the top plate. I added these 2 plastic pivot points, again using my 1/8" drill bit, and then drilled some stainless, or drilled some holes, drilled and tapped the stainless so that my 2 bolts that hold these pivot points on, they actually go through the stainless into the hull of the boat. Just siliconed everything up, put it on. These pop right off and go back on if I wanted to, but I don't want to. I found out since I removed the handle back here, I found out that this just makes a way more awesome handle to carry the boat. So a piece of PVC pipe is what is the strength behind the whole thing, holds the motor on. And then these 2 little bushings right here made out of PVC pipe that I just snap over the top of them to hold and keep the motor from sliding left and right. So put some two little pins in place that pop out, and right now it's ready to mount. This is the plug that I'll use to plug in the trolling motor. It's just a countersunk trailer wire, trailer plug port. I used my drain plug hole and just popped that in place and siliconed it. And then I have one more port over here. That's where my battery hooks in. All the rest of the wiring runs to the front of the boat, and I'll show you that in a minute. So it's all weather resistant when I'm not using my trolling motor, and then when I'm using it, it's easy access. Those are the 2 things that are the plugs that I splurged on. So you just grab the trolling motor. It's pretty light. I think it's like 17 pounds-ish, plus a couple pounds for the materials that I use. And just slide this through like so. Goes in place. Pop my pins in. Pins are in place. The trolling motor is completely mounted at this point. Slide my bushings in. That locks it in place, keeps it from sliding side to side. Then just plug that in right there. Right there. They're super simple to use. Right there, it's plugged in. And so there is nothing locking the motor down. The thrust of your motor will take care of that. And I've had this, it has 3 reverse speeds, and I've put it in 3rd reverse speed, and it doesn't jump up. I guess it's heavy enough to hold itself down. So no problems there. But when I do want to tilt it, it tilts easy, and if I was to hit something, maybe it would go up. I don't know. But that was the point of leaving it free. And so then the battery just plugs in right here. in this port. And she's ready to go. Oh no, she's not. And then I put my steering on. Since I used my outriggers there, or whatever they're called, my pole holders, I just slide it right through there. And the steering works great. I never plan on going 2-foot steering. Like, that seems way excessive for my needs anyhow. This is not in my way. There's nothing negative that I have to say about the pole steering at this time. So, I'm good with it. Except if you lose your cotter pins, you'd be hurting. But, so those pop into place there. And there. Right there. Boom. And now I have steering. So my pole steering works like that. And it gives me plenty of radius. And it's amazing how fast this thing turns. It like pivots off of this motor. Yeah. So that's the steering. And I'll take you up here and now show you the switch mod that I did. Alright, and just real quickly, in my dry storage hatch that isn't dry storage on these boats, I don't use it for anything. I don't think many people do, but anyhow, I just drilled a hole in it and I used the controls that came with the trolling motor, the 5 forward positions, 3 reverse positions. I took that switch and I mounted it to the bottom of this hatch hole. And so I just really drilled one hole in the boat, and it's really just in the hatch cover, and then I sealed it with Plasti-Seal or whatever, plastic Bondo, and then just took one of the scrap pieces of plastic from that I cut off, and I made a little knobby thing. And so I just control the speeds from here. So I have 5 forward speeds and 3 reverse. You probably can't hear the motor turning on, but I thought I'd impress you with that. So that's that. And then if I want to lift the motor out of the water, maybe I can do it from here. I just pull this string and it'll lock it in place right there. And so if I was in shallow water and wanted to pull the motor up, there you have it.